What a Champions Cup final that was. A match of real intensity, test match intensity, played out in front of an extremely passionate crowd. The noise was immense. It was amazing. And those two teams, who were probably the best two teams in European rugby ever, did not fail to deliver a riveting, fascinating match. So let's take a look how it all unfolded. It was tight in the first half, but not tight in the sense that people were worried and nervous about making mistakes. It was tight just because the defence and the breakdown was fought so ferociously. The hits were massive. And Toulouse nudged themselves into a lead, but it really was Leinster who were playing all the rugby. But just inaccuracies in the 22 just kept letting them down. They'd run some lovely patterns, kind of move the defence about. But when it came down to the last pass just to get somebody through, there'd just be a bit of inaccuracy in the pass or a drop ball, or they'd lose the ball at the breakdown. So, Leinster looked like the team on top, but the scoreline 9-3 was suggesting Toulouse were on top. And then Toulouse had a chance to go for a 12-3 from Blair Kinghorn. He just missed that one. And as the game dragged into dead time in the end of the first half, Leinster were denied a try, and then they kicked the penalty to take it 9-6 at half-time. Then we get into the second half. Much a repeat of the same, really. There was some good try-saving tackles from both sides, but that defence and that breakdown was still magnificently fought over. I mean, the absolute warriors on the pitch. I think every player there could be completely proud of themselves. And again, Toulouse edged away through the boot and the penalties, but Leinster pulled themselves back. And going into the last 2 minutes or so, it was 12-12, and they were moving the ball up the pitch. And they manoeuvred things really nicely to give Frowley, who'd come on for Byrne about 15 minutes earlier, a great shot, a drop goal. So he was probably about 40 odd meters out. It was fairly straight in front of the post. The clock had about 40 seconds left on it. Ball came to him. He struck it and it just went wide. That was, I think, Leinster's great opportunity to win that match. You couldn't have said they didn't deserve it if they'd have won at that stage. But instead, we go into extra time. And I have to say, as a neutral, I was delighted about that. Another 20 minutes of that match, I could definitely get into. I'd love to know at halftime, did you think it was going to be Leinster's game? And particularly maybe going into that second half of the extra time. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know what you think. And yeah, while you're there, if you want to like or subscribe to this channel, that would be massively, massively appreciated. Any support you can give will be fantastic. And that honestly, that extra time was amazing. Just so much drama. Didn't fail to deliver. Within a minute, it was James Lowe who got himself a yellow card from a deliberate knock-on. I think the decision was fair enough. I think it was called right by the officials. And it wasn't long after that Lebel struck down in that left-hand corner. Leinster already stretched, being down to 14 players. Frowley went in for a tackle, kind of knocked himself. I don't know if he knocked himself out, but certainly knocked himself down and was unable to join the defence again. Toulouse moved it left quickly and beautifully, and Lebel flew in to kind of get a crucial score. And then they stretched their lead again. I think it was to a 10-point lead. They pocketed another penalty, and it looked like it was definitely going to be Toulouse's day. But how quickly things can turn around in rugby. It was looking like Toulouse had won another penalty at a breakdown. But instead, Richie Arnold was red carded for his shoulder making contact with Cian Healy's head. Congratulations to Cian Healy, by the way. Was it the most decorated Champions Cup player? And I think the person who's appeared in the most finals. So much credit to him. But yeah, he was taken out. Arnold sent off, which was, I know, harsh, perhaps. Either way, it wasn't going to make much difference. There was about 10 minutes left. So, off he goes. We're then back to 15-14 to Leinster because Lowe's come back on. And Leinster worked really hard in the dead time of the end of the first half. I think the end of the first half went on for like another extra 8 minutes in the end. You can imagine players would be absolutely cooked, having already played a really tough 80, and then the first half of extra time goes to 18 minutes or so. And Leinster kind of keep pushing away at the Toulouse line. They're pummeling. And eventually McCarthy, or was it McCarthy? I think it was McCarthy. I can't remember. somebody got in for a great try. Well, I say a great try, a relentless try, pummeling away, and they just squeezed it in. It went to TMO because obviously we wanted the drama to carry on. And after it was given no try on the pitch and a lot of looking at the pictures, etc., eventually Matthew Cardy gave it as a try. Nice conversion from Frowley, brought it back to a 3-point game. And it's like, okay, wow. 10 minutes to go. Leinster 3 points down, but a man up. They've played probably the nicest rugby of the two teams. And it really was. It really felt like this was Leinster's moment in terms of, I think the last 3 finals they've lost, they've been in front and the other teams come back and taken them over. To that point, Leicester had not been in front in the game at all. They've been behind or level. And for me, sitting there watching that game unfold, I thought, this is Leinster's moment. And then the second half of extra time started. And it didn't take very long until there was a reasonably soft penalty from given against Doris for, I think, hands in the ruck on the floor, slotted over by Ramos. Although it was one hell of a wobbler, it only just made it over. So then there's a 6-point lead, and then it wasn't long again until another penalty was conceded. I think that time it was given against Healy, but I might have that wrong. And all of a sudden it's 9-3. Clock is ticking. There's like 5 minutes left. And obviously, there's still a chance it can happen, but I think a little bit, you could sense from the crowd that they were a little bit deflated, maybe the players a little bit deflated, but they carried on pushing and pushing and pushing. But there was a couple of scrums, a couple of lineouts. Those set pieces were running down the clock until it got to the point when there's about 40 seconds left. Frowley went for another drop goal just to put it back to a one score game from the restart. But again, it was just wide. And that is when you knew it was done. More heartbreak for Leinster. Absolute despair for them. 3 finals in a row lost. 4 consecutively finals lost. Feel really sorry for Leinster. They played some nice rugby, perhaps a little bit inaccurate at times. But I think ultimately Toulouse's defensive effort was heroic. Absolutely heroic. They were magnificent on the day. And whilst Leinster had, I think, 56% of the possession, they had more carries, more passes, they beat more defenders, which I wasn't expecting against Toulouse. And even more surprisingly, they had more offloads than Toulouse. The defence from Toulouse, honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a defensive performance of that calibre. They were so fast to the line. Their hits were so hard. They disrupted every breakdown. As brilliant as Gibson Park is, he didn't get a huge amount of clean ball. There was always some sort of interference in there. I think the tackle count on the day, I think it was something like 260 tackles by Toulouse versus 135 by Leinster, and 19 turnovers plays 8. So I think that defensive effort, which I wasn't expecting from Toulouse, I mean, obviously they're a quality side, some great players, and we know the likes of Willis and Cross are workhorses, tackle a load, but that was just amazing. And I think it was that undid them. And Jack Willis, I think I've heard reports he was somewhere 29 tackles plus on the day. He was relentless. All of his breakdown work was magnificent as well. But then you had Anton Dupont, and I could not wait for that matchup between Dupont and Gibson Park. And I see them both as absolutely fantastic players. But on the day, you could see the difference. Gibson Park, amazing, brilliant player. But Dupont, just that level above. His ferocity in defence, his ability to kick off both feet. It was an absolute kicking masterclass from him. He just moved Toulouse up the pitch when they needed to be there. I think he kicked 2 50-22s. And he won a bunch of turnovers as well. He just really got stuck in. So I think on the day, Leinster will be ruining some missed opportunities, and perhaps it was their game for the taking on a couple of occasions. But hats off to Toulouse. They were magnificent, and playing with a different style. They didn't bring their real flowing running game. There were little glimpses of it here and there, but they didn't really go there playing that game. They played a really strong defensive game, soaked up a lot of pressure, and kind of kicked their way out of trouble. So yeah, masterful from Toulouse. Congratulations to them. It was an epic final. Probably as a neutral, the game I've most enjoyed when I've been in the stadium. It was fantastic. I had to watch it again this morning just to digest it all. And to be honest, it was even better watching it again. And commiserations to Leinster. You know, I did really thought that this would be their chance to end that streak of losses in finals, but it wasn't to be. So yeah, magnificent tournament this year. I hope you enjoyed it too. I absolutely loved it. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.